As the anniversary of the Quit India movement approaches, we, the Indians, salute the freedom fighters who staked their all for the noble objective, that is, the immediate termination of British rule in India. However, the timing of the movement raised significant questions. At the AICC session on August 8, 1942, Gandhiji delivered an electrifying speech demanding immediate freedom, stating, I want freedom immediately this very night before dawn, if it can be had. Freedom cannot now wait for the realization of communal unity. The same evening, he gave the clarion call of do or die. Karo ya Maro to fellow Indians from Mumbai's Gowalia Tank Maidan. In the early hours of 9th August, on a day when rain was creating havoc across Mumbai or Bombay, as it was called then, Gandhiji was taken into house arrest, as was Jawaharlal Nehru, while several Congress leaders were imprisoned in already cramped jails. On 9th August 1942, a young Aruna Asaf Ali hosted the Indian tricolor at Mumbai's Gowalia Tank Maidan, which is now called the Agast Kranti Maidan. Dr. Shyam Prasad Mukherjee did not support the timing of the call for jail Bharo. His difference with Congress strategy in 1942 was a matter of profound political foresight, not as opposition to the movement per se, but with the goal of which he completely conquered, but not its method. The incarceration of the top leadership of the Congress shut away in jail. Jinnah found an open ground to parley with the British, help the war machinery of the colonizers, and create legitimacy for his terrible plan to partition India. Let us go to the ground zero with my colleague and senior journalist Kirti Pandey, who visited the August Kranti Maidan to recall what unfolded on that historic day of August 9 in the year 1942.
Today we have with us Mr. Kaiwan Giger of the Khaki Tours. Khaki Tours takes people on heritage walks around Bombay, especially I call it Bombay because that's also one of the era of Mumbai's history that they explained to us about the Raj era when Mumbai used to be called Bombay. And Kaiwan Urigar sir has done these heritage walks several times, and here we had Kaiwan Urigar sir. Hello, sir. Good
Hello.
morning. Sir, please explain to us what is the significance of this August Kranti Maidan? What happened on that iconic day?
This, I would call it the epicenter of the freedom struggle in Mumbai. This is a very historic place, not just for the Quit India movement that took place here on 8th August 1942, but everywhere around here are memories of the freedom struggle. This used to be a water tank. It was called the Gowalia tank. This is where Gowalias or cowherds would bring their cattle for a bath every morning. And around the Gowalia tank were several bungalows. And one of them in the 1850s housed the Elphinstone College. Now, the Elphinstone College is where the freedom movement was sparked off from. Essentially, students of the Elphinstone College, inspired by events during the French Revolution, which they studied in the college, they started asking why not something similar can happen here. And thus, the freedom movement was sparked off in Mumbai at the Elphinstone College. Later on in the 1880s, around the tank, there is the Tejpal Auditorium, where the Indian Congress, National Congress, was born. Then, of course, the tank gets filled up. This becomes a Maidan. And here is where the 1942 Quit India movement is launched. The man who gave the name Quit India, the slogan, incidentally lived not very far from here. Yusuf Mehr Ali, who gave the slogan, stayed like a 5-minute walk from the Maidan. And so did Mahatma Gandhi whenever he was in Mumbai from 1917 to 1934. He stayed in a building called Mani Bhavan, which was the home of one of his associates, Reva Shankar Zaveri. And so this area has a lot of connections to the freedom movement. And of course, the most iconic event is the Quit India movement that took place here on 8th August.
It is the peak monsoon season also, August. And we are told that in 1942, August, the day that Mahatma Gandhi gave the call, and also the next day when everybody came here and Aruna Asaf Ali hoisted the flag, there was heavy rainfall in Mumbai. Can you tell us something about that?
So this is the time when Mumbai monsoons are at present. Amazing that despite the rain, such a large turnout was there to see the leaders speak, to see the leaders call for action. 1942 was a very important year because this was the year when the British Empire was at its weakest. They were fighting World War II on two fronts. They were fighting the Germans in Europe and they were fighting the Japanese in Asia. Japan was advancing, it had captured Singapore, it had captured Burma. India would be next.
Okay, through Manipur and Northeast, they were advanced.
Yes.
West Bengal, they planned to come in.
Yes. And so, the leaders of the freedom movement decided that this is the opportune time to act when the empire has its weakest. And so the call for do or die was given over here.
So what part of the Maidan did the great leader Mahatma Gandhi stand, and where did he give that speech? What part of this Maidan?
So there would have been a mandap at one corner of the Maidan, somewhere over there, where all the leaders had assembled. So it was not just a speech. This was a session of the All India Congress Committee.
Okay.
So the Quit India resolution was taken in July 1942 at a meeting of the Congress Working Committee in Wardha. And now it was put forward to the All India Congress Committee. So the resolution was raised on 7th August at the meeting. On 8th August, it was passed. And on 9th August, it was decided that the national flag would be hoisted right here where this pillar stands today. But on the night of the 8th, to the morning of the 9th, all the leaders of the freedom movement were arrested. And there was a leadership vacuum which was filled by the youth. So today you have youth protests, and similarly in 1942, the youth came to the forefront. There was Aruna Asaf Ali who hoisted the national flag here, just down the road.
Okay.
There's a building from where another young freedom fighter called Usha Mehta, she started an underground radio station where, because of press censorship, no news of the movement was being broadcast.
Okay.
The underground radio station was started so that news about the movement could be disseminated.
Ramanor Lohia was a part of the
Yeah, there were a lot of people, I think even Achyut Patwardhan.
Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, and Vallabhbhai Patel. All these were jailed.
Yeah, a lot of leaders were jailed, main freedom fighters, but even anyone who was associated with them were all jailed. So there was hardly any senior leader outside, and the youth took up the struggle.
So this compound wall that we see just now, that did not exist that time.
Probably not,
It was just a Maidan.
just the Maidan.
Okay, and Elphinstone College also had moved away. So those bungalows overlooking, are they still around here?
Some small bungalows still remain,
Okay.
but they are in very bad shape, and they will also soon go down and something else will come up. So
Yeah. So with all the leadership of the Congress in jail in the early morning of 9th, it was raining heavily apparently. And what my reading goes is that the youth who came here to hoist the flag, and they were baton charged, tear gas shelled, along with rainwater, they had tear gas smoke and all that around.
yes,
They were really suffering. But after that, in the afternoon, I'm told that a lot of mill workers and a lot of Bombay people came on the street. Any idea about all that?
mill workers have been an integral part of Mumbai's freedom struggle even before the Quit India movement. It all starts with Lokmanya Tilak's imprisonment. That is when he was sentenced to 7 years in Mandalay. That is the time when mill workers came out on the streets in protest. And since then, they were very major supporters of the freedom movement. Even during the civil disobedience movement of the 1930s, you had mill workers like Babu Genu sacrificing their lives. So mill workers were always an important part of the freedom struggle in the city.
Apart from their daily wages that would suffer, weren't these mill workers worried about their own livelihood? What had they to fall back if the British crackdown was so hard?
I mean, workers' rights were not as developed as they are today. Workers were working long shifts. They didn't get much breaks. Like, there are laws which help the workers today. There were no such laws then. That did not deter them. They came out on the streets as and when necessary.
And this underground movement, you say, all the youths who were participating in that, apparently they were evading arrest by running into, safe houses and
Yes. So what they would do is they selected houses where there were two entrances. So if the police came through one entrance, they could escape from the other. And they kept changing the locations. Every day the broadcast was from a different building. It was very difficult for the police to pinpoint the location from where the broadcasts were happening.
one very sad factor that happened due to the Quit India movement that the Congress leaders did not foresee coming or ignored was that the Jinnah factor was very small at that time. Jinnah was not a big leader at all. He was just another leader from the Muslim minority. I cannot say the largest majority, I would say. And he was not the apex leader with Quit India movement and maximum top rungs of the Congress in jail, he came into a position where he backed the British in the war efforts, promised them help. Saravadi, the nephew of the famous guy who had been made knighted by the British in Kolkata, was then put into power by deposing the Bengal governor or something that time. British had a scorched earth theory. They had begun burning crops and food stocks because they were worried that the Japanese will advance. So what Jinnah's people did is they gave an alternative government over there who had the British not only siphon away the food grains from there, give it to the war efforts, to the British bureaucracy, and people were starving. 3 million Indians died. So, there were so many losses because of this one big day on which all the top leadership of Congress landed into the jails, and also the partition. The league became so strong that in the years till 45, the last Congress people were released from jail, they had nailed their idea and got it passed into the British psyche that Pakistan is inevitable.
But if the movement hadn't taken place with the British Empire at its weakest, it would be a lost opportunity as well. So I guess the Congress didn't have much of a choice. They needed to attack the British at this time, and they would have to bear the consequences of that.
And also the power that Jinnah gained, which caused so many deaths in Bengal. The scorched earth theory, the grains rooted out of the common man's hands. So Quit India movement is very important and very iconic, but I think some of the consequences were really not thought through. Some leadership at least should have, remained out of the reach of the British jails and led people, because from 1941, when Jinnah had merely 1 lakh supporters, it had grown to 2 million supporters by 44. It was a walkaway for him. Somebody had really not fought it free.
No, but I would say that even if the leaders had not acted, they would not be able to mobilize the masses. So it's a chicken or egg situation.
At least some key leadership should have been out of reach, of the British to lead the people. Because what is lost later on was irretrievably lost, no?
There were others also like Subhash Chandra Bose who were fighting the British from outside the country at that time. And then, of course, you had the mutiny in 1946. It all kind of came together through different pressure groups.
The Rin mutiny, how does it have any consequences?
So the naval mutiny happens not in 1942 but in 1946, and it's a combination of factors that leads to the mutiny. There is a lot of unrest in the naval ratings because the war is over, and they have been made certain promises when they were enlisted, but those promises are not being kept. There is differential treatment between the British and the Indians inside the Navy. The trial of the Indian National Army is going on. A lot of ratings of the Navy feel that that is something that should not happen. So all these factors lead them to strike, and the unrest is so much across the country that it spreads very quickly. For a couple of days, the British have no control over the city.
Because the Royal Indian Navy has a headquarters in Bombay or something?
No, because the Navy has taken control of all the ships which are in the harbor, and the guns of the ships are now pointed onto the city. People of the city come in support of naval ratings as well. And so for a couple of days, Mumbai is not in the British control. And then they have to take special measures to regain control. And eventually they are able to quell the mutiny.
Not talked about at all. It was such a major thing.
Yes, even the Indian Navy has used to play it down. But now the Indian Navy has also begun to celebrate it. There is a naval memorial in the city started by the Navy.
What was the threat exactly? What would happen? Why? What scared the British about the Rin Navy?
If they are not in control of the Army and Navy, they cannot consolidate their rule over the country. So this was the final nail in the coffin.
And who is the engineer behind the Rin Navy?
Unknown people, really.
Subhash Babu was the inspiration for them. But
he was an inspiration, but it was also a lot of things that were happening inside the Navy as well that sparked off the unrest. It may not have been a wholly political protest in the beginning. It would be with working conditions and everything, but it soon became much bigger.
Maybe some other different factors were the trigger, but in the end, everything fell together and became a fight for India's independence. There are a lot of British era like buildings that one can see around.
Sati developed after the plague of 1896. The plague spread very fast, it took a lot of deaths. And the British thought it's because of unsanitary conditions in Mumbai. So, what they did is they demolished existing congested areas and created a whole new urban layout. And this layout comes up in the 1910s. And so, the architecture is from that era with a lot of British influence.
So around the British Darbar of George V.
Yes, around that time. Around that time, this area would have come up, but they are not related.
You stepped into India from Bombay.
Yes.
From the gateway.
Yes.
And then headed to
Delhi.
Delhi. How?
Train.
Oh. Did the train go right up to Delhi at that?
Yes.
So about it, the Mahatma Gandhi gate from the countdowns, were the pandals
Yes.
times?
Yeah.
Okay. And the next day, when the crowds understood that in the early morning there have been secret arrests of all the major leaders, Aruna Asaf Ali came here where that pole stands
Yes.
and hoisted the flag.
Yeah.
What kind of flag was it?
It was the tricolor at that time with the charkha in the center.
And hoisted that there.
Yeah.
And police started bait and charge and tear gassing that crowd.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
raining very heavily that time, and the crowd dispersed. Later on in the day, the mill workers and the local shopkeepers, everybody joined in, and all of Bombay joined in.
Yes.
So for the next few days, Bombay was a mutinous city.
Yes.
So the August Kranti Maidan has been kept specially as a memorial and no so-called development.
This was a Maidan where, you see people playing cricket. So it had become a kind of cricket Maidan. And in 1885, when the centenary of the Congress took place, that yellow building there is where the first session of the Congress took place.
Okay. You must have met the
Yeah, the 72 Indian delegates.
start the Indian National Congress.
Yes.
And then anything happened around the centenary celebrations over here?
So there was Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had come down for the centenary celebrations.
Around here itself.
Yeah, at the same venue.
From here, Gandhiji went to what place and where was he arrested from?
Gandhiji at that time lived at Birla House. Birlas were big supporters of the freedom struggle, and Mahatma Gandhi was also assassinated at Birla House in Delhi. So there was a Birla House in Mumbai as well on Malabar Hill, and that is where Mahatma Gandhi was staying, and he was arrested from there.
And what was this Mani Bhavan thing?
Mani Bhavan was his residence from 1917 to 1934. So by the time Quit India movement came, he was no longer staying there.
It wasn't Mani Bhavan where he was arrested from,
No.
but Birla House in Mumbai, from Bombay.
Yeah.
What other key leadership of the freedom fighting was in 1920? Lokmanya Tilak was no more.
Yes.
So what other leadership of the freedom movement was still around here?
Savarkar was out of, I think he had already been released from Ratnagiri at that time. I am not very sure where he was in 1942, but probably could be at Shivaji Park because the Shivaji Park area had come up 10 years before.
So the left was also gaining ground that time?
So Congress was an umbrella, had people from every kind of right-wing and left-wing disposition, a lot of disagreements within the Congress, but they would still be under the Congress.
After this 1942 arrest that happened and people took over the movement, when was it that everything started falling in place and, it seemed like now independence is the next thing that's going to happen?
1945, in principle, independence had been agreed upon, though the date that was decided was 1948. But the events of 1946, Navy uprising, advanced it to 1947.
Before signing out from August Kranti Maidan, I must thank Taiwan sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much for everything that you shared with us.
My pleasure.
Khaki Tours, Bharat sir, Bharat Jateshwar sir, thank you very much for this valuable input.